So I am building my own brand from scratch with absolutely no help, no monetary backing, nothing like that, just a desire to build a culture and a community around a brand built entirely on authenticity. So I have spent hundreds and hundreds of hours on different projects, different brands, different ideas, and I have always kind of got stuck and caught in comparison to other projects, other brands that are, you know, miles ahead, but because they have been working at it a long time, that is why they are at the position that they are at. So for myself, I always compare my production quality, the video quality, kind of everything that I'm doing with regards to the brand. I kind of compare everything that I do to that, and it has always set me back. So I have set myself a mission to just be authentically myself and just put out as much content as I can to document my journey building my brand, Zero Attention Society. Zero Attention Society is a reflection of anxiety and depression in a modern world, that disconnect between human nature and the society that we live in through technology and social media. This is a representation of that. This is a quick overview of the steps that I have taken to start, where I'm at now, and kind of what's coming next. So I started building the world using Midjourney. I believe that using AI as a world building process to enhance your creative workflow, especially if you are a person that you are on your own building something, using AI as a creative outlet to get those ideas out, test different things, see what works, see what doesn't, see what you like, and see what resonates with your vision for the brand. AI really does work wonders in that regard. But also bear in mind, AI doesn't work like instant, like a lot of gurus and people might want you to believe, that all these latest new tools will get you the best output and best, you know, results. It just doesn't work like that. There is still a process when it comes to AI images, and that is finding something that works for you and like the aesthetic that you are trying to build. So for me, when I started with all these different bright colors and, you know, different compositions, different lighting effects, different styles. But honestly, the biggest hurdle that I faced when doing this is kind of the AI draws inspiration from lots of different places. So to get a continuous like lighting and color palette is very, very difficult to, you know, create consistency, especially if you're building a brand that its entire purpose is consistency. So that took a while of trial and error, and eventually I went to obviously, as you can see here, there's like a Stranger Things aesthetic where the colours do pop and they are beautiful, but as I said, keeping that consistency throughout is extremely difficult. So eventually, as time went on and hundreds of different variations happened, I eventually switched to black and white. Black and white does also, this is kind of the colour scheme that I had in mind. I always wear black and white. It is kind of my you know, character representation. That's kind of my favourite colours when it comes to aesthetics and clothing and things like that. So that does resonate best with me. And for a brand that does focus on, you know, human disconnect, I think it just makes perfect sense to have black and white. And when it comes to creating AI images, black and white has so much more consistency that you can use throughout you know, the entire process. So I wanted to, as you can see, there's still some Stranger Things aesthetic tied into these prompts. Now, as cool as that is, I also want it and need it to be realistic. It has to resonate with the people that see it. So having these monsters may, in certain niche cases, be appropriate. But for now, we're not doing anything like that. So I started to go more realistic, more true to life. There's still a little bit of a dystopian, paradoxical feel to the imagery, but in a more realistic way. So yeah, so this is where I got in Photoshop. There's quite a few images that I've done here. I'll go through some of them quickly just to show my thought process and the, you know, the world building. So as you can see, there's a singular basketball net here in like a dark and gritty environment. But there's quite a few imperfections that need altering. So AI is great for getting that base image and, you know, start to, you know, get the fundamentals of the world but you do also need to pay a lot of attention to get out those blemishes, as you know, the human eye is very good at sifting out imperfections, and you know, we're getting more and more acclimatized to see AI images straight away. And that is fine, because pretty much all images in the future are going to be AI, but you still need to make sure you add, you know, personal touches to it. So in this case, I changed all the windows because AI does not do very well with straight lines and symmetry. Also, I added fire to the basketball net here with the Zero Attention Society graffiti on the wall here. I just feel like the singular use of colour, the fire in this instance, really accentuates and evokes a certain emotion of, you know, there's still fire inside of you as a person. The world might be dark and gritty, but there is still a fire inside that burns very bright, and that is the focal point and the thing that stands out within this image. I also changed the lamp here from the top because the old one just looked very AI generated, so the new one looks more realistic and in line, you know, with the aesthetic of the image. I added the Zero Attention Society graffiti to the wall, of course, and then yes, that is what you think it is in the floating in the water. This one is quite edgy. You can see the mobile phone here is still glowing. That is done with the intent purpose that the rest of the environment is dark and very depressing, but the mobile phone, even if you die and go, the mobile phone is still popping, it's still ringing, it's still dinging, it's still going bright. You know, the world goes on. The mobile phone, it has zero emotional attachment. You pass, the mobile phone just carries on. The vibe in this image, it didn't take much adjustments either from the base image that was generated from the AI. As you can see, it's got this glowing kind of spotlight with all the dark edges. This spotlight does highlight and make this truck prominent, so there wasn't too many adjustments that needed to be made on this. I just added darker colours around the edges, added the Zero Attention Society graffiti down the side of the van, and then added this juxtaposition on the front. So the destination being heaven with the hell graffiti, kind of like in a neon sign across the front of the window. And honestly, as I said, there wasn't too many adjustments that needed to be made with this one from the AI output to what I did. Similarly, this one didn't take too many adjustments either. It's like an ominous picture of a boat on the water, and as you can see with the adjustments, it didn't take much at all, but it really added a lot of depth to the image. We've got the police siren on top with the ambient glowing light of the blue and the red, which kind of adds a lot of emphasis of authority within the middle of the picture. And then we've got the Zero Attention Society rippled through the water. As I said, again, very simple, not many adjustments needed, but it came out beautifully, and it really adds a lot of depth to the concept. Another one that came out here, this was a little bit different when it came out in the generator. There was like a big silhouette of a man here, but I took that out and then added some smaller silhouettes of people here, just because it kind of adds a paradox to the composition. So we have the huge retro gaming arcade machine here, and as you can see with the adjustments, I added some shadows around, I added a bit more depth to this pole, and then obviously the Zero Attention Society branding across the top with the game over on the arcade machine. And now you can see how this reflects with the size of the people compared to the game of life over here, where somebody has just played and got a game over, and these people are just looking over and viewing that from a different angle, from a very smaller angle. It just creates a couple of questions within, you know, the concept, and maybe it makes people think for a second. That is really the bread and butter of what I'm trying to emphasize with the brand. So I love how this one came out. Most of these designs are black and white, dark and gritty and moody. but they do have a little sprinkle of colour to really emphasise what that specific item or action within the design. But this one hasn't yet. I just added a crap load of ZAS all the way down here. There's still a bit more work to do on this one yet. And then I've also done this one. This was a VHS store. As you can see, there's some bits in the windows and things like that that need to be adjusted from the AI to make it more realistic and more personal. And then I added the huge glowing VHS sign on the front of the store. This is the colour, the focal point of the image. I do love how it came out. The colours look amazing. I may need to make a little bit more adjustments to it, just to make it fit into the composition better. And then obviously I added this sign down here, which I just love this sign, it looks awesome. So I added this sign, added lots of shadows to make it fit, added a little bit of highlight from the VHS sign onto the Zero Attention Society sign outside. And yeah, I just love making these designs, these compositions of dark and gritty with a little bit of light shining through, and that really is the entire concept of Zero Attention Society. It is a dark and gritty world, but there is little glimmers of light and hope that come through. In some cases with the person in the pool, there's a different comparison with the colour, but yeah, I'm just loving building these different concepts and artwork and themes for the brand, and that is essentially the first step that I have taken to building this, is just getting ideas out into, you know, onto a canvas, onto Photoshop, just getting those ideas out and putting your emotions and creative like thoughts into that and building out a world and just seeing where it takes you. I think that is super important, rather than over analysing every different aspect of what you are doing for your brand or your business. Just getting shit done that you find exciting and you are passionate about, and just getting it out there and exploring those different ideas and building a world around it could be super beneficial to you, and you could actually have a really good time whilst doing it. So yeah, I'll catch you in the next one.